for transit, and they're calling it moving our region forward. So when I hear region, I think you're going to hear a fascinating part of the discussion today, which is not just Metro Detroit, but surrounding areas, what it takes to create some transit system when it comes to perhaps areas including Ann Arbor. The mayor of Warren is part of this panel today. So we're going to hear what it takes there. And we've covered on Local 4 many, many times the idea is that if people had more transit opportunities, more options, it would be easier for them to get and hold a job. Employers have the same gripe with holding employees and being able to find qualified people, and that's if they can get those folks to work easier, because not everybody in this climate can find a vehicle. And again, we're getting another announcement, people getting to their seats here in the program, expected to get underway here in just a little bit. And we are just getting an idea of why this is running just a tad late. Security is extra tight right now, and with recent current events, I think that's top of mind for lots of organizations as they hold events and have discussions, whatever they might be related to, but security very top of mind after what happened in West Bloomfield last week. So back to the topic at hand, which is regional transit moving Michigan forward. I see Warren Evans, the Wayne County executive, talking to Ranjiv Puri, who is a member of the state Senate, who's the Democratic leader in the state Senate. And Warren Evans has been a vocal person who's been very vocal over the years about transit and about this partnership that could possibly make it desirable for employers to make this happen. But again, it always goes back to the money. How do you pay for it? How do you incorporate Macomb County, Oakland County? How do you bring in maybe perhaps Washtenaw County and even Livingston County, depending on how far away you want to grab people to make it easier to commute to downtown or to Warren. As we say, Warren is the third largest city in Michigan, but other big cities, and we talk about the people mover. People talk about that as something that even if that was extended a mile or two in each direction, that would also make things easier for people to be able to apply for, confidently get a job in the city of Detroit and keep that job, because it is difficult for a lot of folks. They might be able to make it work for a while, but then suddenly transportation issues become very difficult, and then they have to leave that job, and then it's a vicious cycle for employers and business people all the way through the region. All right, we're going to take one more quick break, and then the program's going to begin right here on Local 4. We're at Pancakes and Politics from One Campus Marches, here, the March edition on Local 4 Plus. We are celebrating 90 years of the Michigan Chronicle, recognized 5 times as the best black newspaper in the country. Founded in 1936 with a mission to serve Detroit and its black community, the Chronicle has shared stories often untold and brought to light through dedicated reporting and discussions about critical issues. Those decades of focused journalism sparked an idea: pancakes and politics, bringing together leaders of diverse backgrounds to talk about business, politics, and the community. Today's conversation is about moving our region forward. We're going to hear from Lori Stone, mayor for the city of Warren, Detroit City Council President James Tate, General Manager and Chief Executive Officer of SMART, Tiffany Gunter, and President and Chief Executive Officer of Detroit Regional Partnership, Maureen Krause. Our moderator today is Dennis Archer Jr., Chairman and CEO of 1642 Ventures. Today's Pancakes and Politics is presented by PNC Bank and in partnership with these platinum sponsors: Bedrock, DTE Energy, and Walker Miller Energy Services. Now, here's the president of Real Times Media News Group, Kathy Ned. News Group, Kathy Ned.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming out today. Welcome to the 24th season of the Michigan Chronicle, Pancakes and Politics. Yeah, that was a good moment. We're kicking off this season with a dynamic panel that's going to talk about moving our region forward. And I also want to shout out Andiamo's. I hope you're enjoying the breakfast. Andiamo's is our vendor this year. And I want to thank Mike Roberts and his team for bringing a good presentation to us. So we could not do this without our sponsors. And we thank all of our sponsors, especially our presenting sponsor, who is PNC Bank. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Mr. Mike Roberts. Bickers. Okay, Mike Roberts is with Andiamo's. Michael Bickers, the regional president, Southeast Michigan, PNC Bank. Sorry, Mike.
We'll talk later. Good morning, team. Hey, no big speech today. I just wanted to, it is very important that PNC, on behalf of PNC, that we thank all of you in the room for what you do every day. I get to go to a lot of places, and so I'll be very candid with you. Everywhere I go in the downtown, as soon as I land and go into the downtown, I want to get back home because, unfortunately, they don't have one of the powerful things we have, which is sort of like the diversity in this room. It's not everywhere. Don't take that for granted. Everybody participates here, and I've been around long enough to see where that was not the case. And so I'd like to applaud all of you on behalf of PNC for being the people, the professionals, and the partners that you are. That's really what I want to do today. Thank you so much. However, as you guys know, we love education and focusing on it, and we love little ones. We'll be making a few hundred backpacks for a bunch of special kids in about a week or so through our Grow Up Great program, through about 100 volunteers. I just got an update from the folks. I sit on Mary Grove's board. PNC is up to about $190 million invested in Mary Grove. And as you all know, Kresge is on its way to that campus. How about that? Yeah. But we also have some special guests from Davis Aerospace Technical High School. That's right. Besides offering standard high school courses, Davis Aerospace Technical High School is one of the only schools in the country to train students in grades 9 through 12 to fly Cessna aircraft. Students are prepared to test and earn their private pilot license and will be joining a growing field in commercial FAA drone piloting. That's why I made them my friends. Students train in state-of-the-art simulators and are flying real aircraft. The school actually owns 3 Cessna airplanes. Davis is extremely excited to be moving back, by the way, to Coleman A. Young Airport in August. Through the leadership of my new friend, yep, give it up for that. Through the leadership of my new best friend, and Principal Michelle Davis, the school sports a 100% graduation rate. Ladies and gentlemen, as I ask all the students and Ms. Johnson to stand, or Ms. Davis to stand, welcome to Michelle Davis and the students of Davis Aerospace Technical High School. All right. I tell you, you fellas got great hair. Makes me want to put my dreads back in, but I won't do it. Okay, thank you so much, Hiram.
Good morning. Welcome to the 21st season of Pancakes and Politics. Give yourself a round of applause. First of all, I love the March Pancakes and Politics because it says spring is on the way. Amen. We've had a brutal winter, and I'm just looking forward to having these blinds go up with the sun coming in, and we'll be able to walk outside here and just things taste better when the sun is shining. You know what I mean? So we appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really want to thank the sponsors. They're running here on the screen, but I always like to give them a shout out. Bedrock as a platinum sponsor, DTE Energy Platinum, Walker Miller Energy Services Platinum, Pioneer, Business Leaders for Michigan and Delta Dental, and our medallion sponsors are Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, Barton Mallow Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan, Elite School Management, Henry Ford Health System, Mercantile Bank of Michigan, and Moment Strategies. Please give them a round of applause. This year is the 90th anniversary of the Michigan Chronicle on June 6th. In 1936, John Sinstadt, the founder of the iconic Chicago Defender, which is also a property that we own, he sent Louis Martin to Detroit. He gave him a $5 raise, he gave him $10 in cash, and a one-way bus ticket. And the purpose of the Michigan Chronicle was to empower civil rights issues, support social progress, and call out systemic racism. Can you imagine a black man coming to Detroit to start a newspaper in 1936? The courage that it took in the climate that they were probably dealing with. 90 years later, we still face some of these barriers. But that's not going to stop our community. As you can see here, we've come together in a spirit of diversity, even though in some areas that might be a bad word. It's not a bad word with us. In the spirit of community and collaboration. And that's why Pancakes and Politics is so, so important, that we all come together, whether you're in Macomb County, Oakland County, Washtenaw, Wayne, or Oakland. This was established to bring like-minded people together, have disagreement, if you will, and talk about the important issues of the day. And so 90 years later, we take this very seriously. And those of us who work at the Michigan Chronicle and the Chicago Defender and the Pittsburgh Courier and the Atlanta Tribune, we still fight in the spirit of Louis Martin when he came to Detroit in 1936. So thank you so much for supporting our efforts and the pillars of which we stand. And just know that when you come to our events, our forums, or participate, buy the newspaper or go to our website and all of our digital platform, that you're supporting the principles that Louis Martin came here in 1936. So please give yourselves another round of applause for that. I really want to thank WDIV, Catherine Badalamenti. Is she here? Catherine? Can you stand, Catherine, please? I'm sorry, put you on the spot like that. Catherine. It's been a great partnership with WDIV. I saw Catherine on the panel, and she said, hey, we're looking to do partnerships. It was in Chicago, and we hit the ground running, and she's been a great, great partner. And now I'd like to bring up my partner in crime, my friend, the chairman of 1642 Ventures, Dennis Archer Jr. But first, we're going to show a video from one of our fantastic partners, Bedrock. Thank you.
Good morning. Where did Hiram, don't go too far. Let me do this because, you know, sometimes there are kinks in the programming. And on our script, it said that Kathy or the voice of God was going to introduce Hiram. And Hiram just kind of rolled up here on his own. So I'm going to take a liberty before we get started. It is hard to imagine, and this is all not scripted, by the way, so Hiram's going to be pissed. But it is hard to imagine in 1936 that a black man would move up here with that mission. But it is equally as astonishing for a wannabe athlete with a jerry curl who lived in Highland Park to go to Detroit Country Day School, last for 4 years, and then go to Cornell and graduate to go on to become a phenomenal entrepreneur. Ladies and gentlemen, Hiram Jackson. All right. Sorry about that, brother. I had to. Welcome back to another year of Pancakes and Politics. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about the lineup we have for the season, and I'm excited about the way that we are kicking things off today. Let me give a shout out to the balance of Hiram's Real Times media team. You all do a phenomenal job. Kathy, Janelle, and the balance of the squad. Thank you all for your work. And my team, Ruth and Libby, who I don't think is here, thank you. And Jay Coolman, where's Jay? You know, the behind the scenes cats, Jay Coolman in the back. Round of applause for Jay. Jay and his team manage the production of not only these shows, but a number of other partnerships that we have, and there are more to come. So Jay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Today we're going to discuss moving our region forward. So let me bring our guests up here. First is a dear friend, Tiffany Gunter. Tiff, come up. She's the general manager and CEO of SMART, where she leads the agency's overall strategy and operations, service delivery across southeastern Michigan. As the CEO, she continues to focus on delivering safe, equitable, and reliable transit that meets the needs of riders and strengthens the region's mobility network. Thank you, Tiffany. A member of the greatest fraternity on the planet Earth, Alpha Phi Alpha, James Tate Jr., president of Detroit City Council. Come on up, Council President. The Alpha Man was first elected to City Council in 2010 and has built a reputation for steady leadership, accessible government, and deep community engagement. He previously served in the Detroit Police Department and in the private sector. He was on WXYZ, unfortunately, Jay and Kathy, sorry, where he won an Emmy Award here locally. So, Council President, thank you for being here. somebody new to our environment, but we're so happy to have her given the vicinity as a neighbor, is Mayor Lori Stone from the city of Warren. Welcome, Lori. Warren is the state's third largest city, and Lori was elected in 2023, making history as the city's first female mayor. And as we know, she's following a very controversial, but many people would say effective mayor in Mayor Fouts. She's always been an active leader in her community. She serves on multiple boards and leadership positions and was a legislator. So thank you very much, Lori, for being here. Looking forward to your contribution. And while parachuting over the Alps, Maureen Donahue Krause injured her leg. So I told her I would invite her up last and talk about her the longest so she could wobble onto the stage.
Great story. I'll use that one.
Maureen is also a dear friend. We work together. She's phenomenal, and we've worked together in a number of her past capacities. But presently, she's president and CEO of the Detroit Regional Partnership, which is the leading economic development nonprofit serving our 11-county Detroit region. DRP was developed to be a single source and point of contact for businesses interested in coming to our region. And so she works with our county executives, our local economic development apparatus, municipal leaders, et cetera, to be that single point. And since 2020, there's been $10 billion in investment in 38,000 jobs coming to the region as a result of Maureen's work. So thank you. Now I have to ask, is there anyone here that attended Howard University? Well, good. I was going to wish you all luck. Oh, we got one in the back? All right, we got one in the back. And so if by chance Howard beats Michigan tomorrow, you got free drinks on me at Vinyl.
It's not happening.
Where's my partner, Jason? Jason Colthorpe is in the building somewhere. Maybe he's getting ready. But Jason, later on, he's over here, will be available to ask questions. And I'm excited to say, and I will say it again at the end, that our next guest next month will be the governor, Gretchen Whitmer, and we're excited to launch her farewell tour next month in April. But our theme, guests, and Tiffany, I'm going to start with you, is moving our region forward. And for those of us who attend panels like this, and particularly that go to Mackinac, that watch Flashpoint every Sunday, transportation has been on the agenda for decades. And having a competent and cohesive and effective regional transit system. We are probably the largest metro area with the level of dysfunction and lack of connectivity, which is unfortunate. And I'm sure, Maureen, as you travel, people ask about transit and how people are going to get to and from work and home. My words, not anyone else's. It just seems to me, I'm a fan of F1, and I watch the races every weekend during the season. And, very, very rarely a driver will get up, pull out of the pit, get in place to start the race, and then their car will stall. Everyone else takes off, and that car is stuck. Regional transit has been stuck here in southeastern Michigan. There's a ballot initiative, another one, in November, which I believe allows for disallows communities to opt out. Can you talk about what the initiative it is, why we should support it, and then I would ask any of the other panelists to then comment on why it's important in your role.
Absolutely. So lots that you touched on in your question. I'll start with today, for fun. Today's Transit Appreciation Day, so I want to make sure I.
Oh, really? I didn't. Who knew there was one?
Today is Transit Appreciation Day, so fantastic time to be having this conversation. I just want to give a shout out to all of our drivers, our mechanics, our admins that do this work every day. Many of you, while you're rolling over, our employees are rolling out of the garage at 3:45 a.m. That is the start time for public transit to get to its spots. So what they do every day matters, and I just want to say thank you to them. And talking about that too is as disconnected as we have been, we do not have a comprehensive public transportation system, but what we do have is the opportunity to do better with what we have today. And I took over in July at SMART, and since then, I just saw numbers recently from February of 2025 to February of 2026. We're up 40% in ridership on both Gratiot and Woodward Avenues right now. 40% more people are using public transportation today than they were last year. And we're also—
I'm sorry to interrupt your flow, but
That's all right.
that's very impressive. What do you attribute that to?
I'm going to attribute it to the table sitting here, number 2. That's my team. We put a focus on it. When I took over, they asked me what was my focus. It was back to basics plus. We can chew bubble gum and walk. You have to get in the garages. It is not uncommon to see me or any of our executive leadership team in the garages at 3 a.m. with our drivers working out solutions to the things that hold us back. We had a lot of low-hanging fruit. Sometimes I joke and say the fruit was on the ground in the basket with the bow, ready for us to just pick it up and take advantage of it. And that's what we're doing. We started an on-time performance challenge. Each garage didn't know that we weren't meeting the on-time performance goal. We were at 65%. Y'all, I'm gonna tell you what, if you have a friend, just to think about this, that said, I'm only gonna pick you up 65% of the time to get you where you need to be, you and that friend are gonna have some problems, right? That was us, that has been us for years. In doing this challenge, in the last 3.5 weeks, we've raised that percentage up by 12 points. We're at 77% on time right now, consistently. That's still not enough. We still have to do better, but we're going to keep pushing at it. So I just wanted to make sure we acknowledge that we're making a comeback, we're increasing frequencies, and we're paying attention to what our riders are asking of us. That is the baseline right now that we have to get to. Why is this so important? The ballot initiatives that will be run in August in both Wayne County and in Macomb County are our baseline funding. That's our property taxes that set the course for us to be able to leverage state dollars and federal dollars. Without that, we can't do the foundational work. But as we see more riders come to the system, they apportion more dollars from the federal government and from the state for us to do more. That's how you build that connectivity. Without that baseline, that local contribution, that skin in the game, you cannot leverage more dollars. That is why this is so critical. And in Wayne County, and I see my county executive, Mr. Warren C. Evans over there, and Deputy County Executive Todd Turfey, in Wayne County, they're pushing this initiative because for the first time, there will be no opt-outs. We know all right, clap that up, all right. In 2022, Oakland County went all in. Macomb County has always been all in. This will be historic. That means we will have, for the first time, a comprehensive regional transit network in Southeast Michigan, given success in August for Wayne County.
Thank you. And I'm remiss. If I could have any public elected officials that are here, please stand. Okay. The county executive is here. Parents, good morning. Thank you, everybody. You know, before I kick it over to everyone else, I just think it's important to point out that my county executive has always been in support of this, and it's interesting how, you know, things have evolved, because calling a spade, no pun intended, race played a huge role in why this has not moved forward. Our dear friend Brooks was always quick to say that, you know, it's not personal to him, but his folks did not want to participate in this in Oakland County, Brooks Patterson. And a lot of people read into that they weren't interested in people from the city having access that easily to come out to the suburbs, even though that's where jobs were, et cetera. So from my words again, I'm happy to see that we've got now 3 county executives who understand the importance of this and are aligned with you in making this happen. So thank you to all 3 of the 3 county executives. I appreciate that. Maureen, when you're traveling around the world, literally, and trying to attract another 38,000 jobs and another $10 billion, you know, what role does having a competent public transit system in our region play in your pitch?
You know, it's really important, whether we're just having a one-on-one meeting with a client or filling out a request for information that can be 50 pages long on what are the attributes of our region that are important to the companies. You know, it's almost an expectation that we have it, And so we have to explain, well, not really, you know, we're the Motor City, we're built on cars. I had a reporter one time coming in from Japan, and she called me and she said, I said, well, how are you going to get around? You know, and she said, well, the trains. And I said, that's because we were setting up with meetings all over the region. I said, that's probably not going to work for you to take trains around our region. So, you know, one thing is it's an expectation of global companies, because I don't care what city you go to in the world, they do better than us, right? The other thing I will say is it's somewhat generational. I mean, my kids are in their 20s. I have never seen kids, I mean, I feel like I had cars in my heart since I was born, right? My kids are like, do we have to get a car? How are we getting around? The time we went to DC for vacation, and they said, well, are we getting a rental car? And I said, no, we're going to take public transit. And to them, that was mind-boggling that you could do that. So it's a little bit generational. The younger generation expects it, but companies around the world just assume Detroit is a world-class city, so we must have world-class transit. We're not there yet. We're getting better. Kudos to Tiffany and the team and the region for making it better. But it's really an expectation that we should have it.
Lori, and
I'm sorry, just one more thing.
Go ahead.
We can do both. We can be the Motor City and we can be the global capital for cars, but we can also have transit. It shouldn't be either or.
Absolutely. Lori and then James, as you guys, as we all look to escalating costs of automobile insurance, escalating costs in gas, and then the constant expansion of our geography such that jobs are not around the corner always anymore. They could be 30, 40 minutes, an hour away. Talk about the importance of regional transit and the connectivity to the local transit apparatus, if you have it, to attracting residents and employers to your cities. Lori, you first.
Sure. Well, one, I'm very proud that Macomb has been a leader in early adoption of countywide public transit. There's no mistake that even though, you know, Motor City put this nation on wheels, that there are a significant population of our community that still relies on public transit, connecting residents to education, to jobs, to family, friends, and opportunities, as well as our businesses. Our businesses rely on transit to attract talent, maintain talent, and we need that reliability.
James?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I'll start first with the ballot initiative in November. I think it's huge for the city of Detroit. From our perspective, we're in the process right now of going through our budget hearings. And one of the questions that I asked the director of DDOT is, you know, what is it going to take to get us to a point where we have a world-class transit system in the city of Detroit? And he started giving like budget responses for this year. And I said, well, no, let's get beyond just this year, because we got to think, you know, wide scale and long term. And it was a challenge for us because we've been so, you know, conditioned. While we want to think big, we've been stuck in a position where we've had to incrementally try to make improvements. 20 million here, 16 million there, and it's just putting Band-Aids on the situation. We are certainly made some improvements in the city of Detroit. One is, parity in terms of wages, so it makes a difference with SMART. There was a time where, you know, our drivers, they were just leaving because we weren't able to pay the amount, or we didn't have the will, depending on who you talk to pay them what they deserve. And it created a situation where, I don't like to use the word poaching, people are going to go where they're going to ensure that they have the best opportunity for them and their family and work opportunities. So we've made some adjustments there, proud of seeing that. But to the mayor's point, we have to ensure that the talent that's in our local communities have an opportunity to get to the employment that's sometime not right around the corner, as you say, but also expose these the businesses to this wide pool of talented workforce and make that connectivity. I've heard the same thing from many of our young folks that they have no interest in purchasing a vehicle. Part of that is because of a desire. The other piece, it's expensive. You know? Yeah. And now as we talk about gas, it becomes even more of a deterrent for them. So this ballot initiative is going to be huge for the city of Detroit, and we're going to be all in. I know I am, to make sure that we get it across the finish line. But we've got to make sure for Detroiters in particular who are already tax burdened that we ensure that we get them to understand very clearly the benefits of approving this ballot, even if you're not a bus rider at this point. Because I would say the majority of folks that will be requested and asked to vote on this are not transit riders at this point. So I think that's going to be a challenge for some to get them to understand that. But I think the outcomes, the potential outcomes, certainly outweigh the risks.
So, Council President, if I could stick with you for a second. We've got a new mayor in the city of Detroit. We have a new council president in you. And I think that there are going to be some evolved expectations, given her history and background and what she's been passionate about heretofore as a council person, and given your background and what you stand for. And if you take those backgrounds and those expectations from the electorate and you balance that against, some would say, some fiscal headwinds that the city as a municipality are flying into, how do you equitably distribute investment throughout the city to satisfy all of the constituents while continuing to grow and pursue the big projects like Maureen pursues, the downtown developments? There's a fine tune, right? Because you have to have the downtown and the big developments that aren't always in the neighborhoods, but the neighborhoods are expecting, hey, where's ours? What's the plan?
Yeah, I always say that it looks different, right? The investment that we make in downtown looks different than the investment that we make in our neighborhoods. In our neighborhoods, it is strictly quality of life. That's first things first. How do we ensure that our residents have first of all, the basic needs, and then be able to attach amenities to it? When we start talking about downtown, we already have the riverfront. We have stadiums now. We have, many of your restaurants as well in the downtown area. So it's already an attractor. We have the state, we have all of that that's attracting. So there's some assistance that we certainly need to provide and continue the growth. And I'm very proud of the growth that we've had over the last number of years since bankruptcy. But the investment in our neighborhoods is very, very critical. As you talked about with this particular mayor, while we want to continue in council, while we want to continue many of the very impactful movements that we've made in the economic climate, everyone in our community has not been able to feel that. And part of that is we have programs, after program after program to help folks, to provide that assistance. Our challenge has been, one, building that trust for our residents to believe that the programs that we have will absolutely or have the potential to assist them, but then also just the awareness of it as well. That becomes the bigger issue. I believe that's why you're seeing many press conferences. We're always having social media engagement and meetings. We're always talking about these programs to ensure that our residents are able to connect to them. But with the fiscal headwinds that we're heading into, it's imperative to recognize that leadership is important. We had a feeling that we had to make sure that while we come out of bankruptcy, that we would never go back into that situation. So what we see today, we didn't anticipate that it would be this challenging, but we wanted to make sure that we never got into this situation again. And if you look at our balance sheet today, it looks much better than folks would have anticipated, because we did tighten the belt. And despite there being a lot of dismay from folks on how we may have tightened that belt and work with businesses to bring in additional investment, again, our balance sheet now reflects $550 million in reserves, which allows us to have some flexibility where we're not just always hair on fire. It gives us an opportunity to actually start to think bigger than just that one particular moment. And we're going to continue to do that, but also ensure, as I said, to make sure that the programs that we have are accessible to our residents.
Thank you. Lori, for you, Eminem, because of him, I think, 8 Mile is probably the most popular street by far around the globe in Detroit, which is good and bad. You've had a former mayor, when he was elected, tell all the crooks and bad people that hit 8 Mile. You had a lot of suburban folks, mostly white folks, at certain times in Detroit's history not wanting to come south of 8 Mile. Mm-hmm. I don't know why the Dream Cruise doesn't come south of 8 Mile to the state fairgrounds before it goes back up north towards Pontiac. So with that kind of divisiveness, with that main thoroughfare, yet having sharing that with the city of Detroit, being so close. You know, as the city of Detroit goes, the region goes, and that probably is even more relevant to our immediate neighbors. So talk about what you're doing as a leader of the city of Warren to work with and embrace the city of Detroit, even down, you know, from a microcosm, the community organizations on the other side of the street. And what can we do better collectively to work together to kind of move us collectively forward?
Yeah, well, let me start local and then build out. What does that look like community-wide? Just building on economic development in every corner of a community. I think people are very excited about new builds and downtown developments, and there's no doubt that those opportunities are fantastic. But for a community like Warren that is approaching our 70th anniversary of our city, that we have some unique challenges and opportunities, which is reimagining community with over 700 units of new housing in every corner of the community. Having to revisit our zoning, because zoning was developed after our south end, very dense single-family housing units were built. So we have over 200 vacant lots that are in desperate need of housing and individuals who are looking for home ownership and rentals. But also looking at our community. I say we're the biggest small town in Michigan, but also within our community, we have our historic village district that dates back over 120 years. We have our downtown of the 60s and 70s, which is that Van Dyke corridor at 8 Mile, that we're excited to see new investment, new development, and the opportunity to embrace new perspectives on what the commercial and mixed-use landscape looks like. People are excited to invest there, not to mention the newest iteration of a downtown project in Warren. So that looks locally at economic development, but there's no mistaking that within Warren, we have another city, which is the city of Centerline, population of 9,000, but our community is, you know, linked, and we find opportunities. You can't get to 696 from 8 Mile without passing from Warren through Centerline. So making sure we have combined planning and implementation. And, you know, when I travel and people say, where are you from? Detroit, because Metro Detroit is closely linked. And being part of organizations like the 8 Mile Boulevard Association is an opportunity to look Wayne County, Macomb County, Oakland County, and create a new narrative on what 8 Mile is. 8 Mile is economic opportunity. I spent last summer with my community outreach team, they're here with me today, visiting the businesses on 8 Mile. They said, stop telling people you're walking 8 Mile. I said, you know what? If it gets them to sit up and listen and ask questions and say, what is happening in Warren? But when I show up and the business owners are like, you're the mayor? We have a woman mayor? I could pull out the calendar and say, look, I brought my ID with me. You know, there's a lot of things that are happening, and we have to be the champions. We have to change the narrative. And when people are like, where's Warren? Because even though we're the third largest city, we are in the shadow of Detroit. We're proud of the opportunities that is, because we benefit. When Detroit prospers, that spreads throughout this community, throughout the region. And I think that there are so many good things happening. I think with new leadership, there's new opportunities. I think Warren, for a while, under the previous administration, was insular. Started looking in and felt like we're going to take care of our own. Serving in the state legislature, I had the opportunity to look at my community through other lenses. I've been there 46 years. I have no illusions, but I continue to learn about my community. And I invite people to come spend some time in Warren if you haven't been lately. The diversity, you can eat your way around the world in Warren, so come share a meal with us. And
we can take the bus, right?
Yes, you can.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. So I think these partnerships, we know that leveraging funding, creating community impact, the draft, my first, within months of taking office, Detroit led. Detroit could have just championed that alone. But what was so smart was they went out to every suburban community and they threw mini draft parties. They said, how do we connect with your community? And it was a point of pride to watch wall-to-wall Metro Detroit in downtown. The nation was watching what we did and what we did so well. And it made nationally people reconsider what our community, what our region has to offer.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Jason, do we have some questions? Where's Jason? Not yet? All right, make your way around the room. So I'll ask this of everyone, which is, and it kind of is relevant back to the discourse, James, you and I started having earlier. If you look at the investment that's happening here, mobility, tech, AI, significant healthcare investment, both here and in the region, how do we ensure that the job opportunities, the procurement opportunities, the development, construction opportunities are spread equitably among all of us?
Yeah, so I think for the city of Detroit, what we've done is kind of broken down our process, our procurement process, and taking it to the community, to the neighborhood, as opposed to having a situation where you have to come into the building solely, which is important, Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. We are now going out and having workshops within the neighborhoods. That way, again, exposure and information. I think that's the most critical piece because we have the infrastructure that's built. There's always room for improvement, always. But now we're at the point where we are finding connectivity with vendors, contractors that possibly would have never knocked on the city's door. And those who would continue to complain about not being able to acquire contracts, now they're able to do so because they now know the process. And we've actually altered our process a bit to understand, to better work with those vendors and contractors that may not be at the point where they're able to take a complete contract. Now they're subs, right? So that gives them an opportunity to scale and increase their value in the ecosystem that we have within the city of Detroit. We've seen that with many of our tree trimming contracts and contractors. We've seen them grow. We've seen other industries grow as well, other contractors in various industries grow as well, and continue to do that. That's our focus, really getting deep again into the community.
So on that, one thing I don't think people realize is that public transportation is a $95 billion industry nationwide. Buses are not cheap. They are pretty much the equivalent of your Lamborghinis, Bugattis. They just don't look quite as cool. I think they do. But with that, there's seats, there's windows, there's all types of maintenance, there's oil, there's all these things that we purchase. We spent $50 million in 2024 and $59 million in Michigan alone just buying widgets. What we have not done much of is reached out to small businesses. So we now have a person in charge of small business development at SMART that's going out and meeting with each of the chambers and talking about the procurement process, what type of opportunities exist at SMART. And what I'm excited about, frustrated about and excited about at the same time is that we have deferred a lot of our maintenance at SMART. Previous leadership has decided that it just wasn't time to invest in our buildings, which has a horrible impact on morale for employees when you don't take care of your own facilities. So there is a lot of opportunity coming up soon. So as we prepare for that, this engagement that we have with small businesses around the region is going to matter even more. And I'm asking people to participate with us. If you see that we're coming to talk about business engagement, SMART wasn't spending money. SMART has the money to spend to fix our facilities. And I know there's local businesses that are going to benefit from that. So we're excited about that. That's just the inside of the organization. That's not even talking about the things that come with building out our shelters and all of the future capital investments that we hope to make once we're successful at the ballot.
You know, a thought, and the analogy I have is for those of us brothers in here in particular who used to go to the barber shop as a kid, you would go to the barber shop likely with your mom or dad and sit for 4 hours waiting for the barber that you want to cut your hair. And now when my kids go to the barber shop, they pick up and they can set an appointment on the app, and they can go and they wait maybe 3 minutes and they get their hair cut. Is there a way, or are you leveraging technology today? And as you look to the future, whether it's an app or otherwise, you know, it seems like with Ford Mobility coming down, with, you know, Tech Town's been here, new labs are here, you have all these startups, and it seems like it's an opportunity for you to partner. You're smiling, you're doing it already, but for you to partner with some of these new technology innovators to improve service delivery.
I'm so glad you asked that question. Absolutely. I started smiling because I got something for you. So SMART and DDOT combined carry about 23 million people a year. That's nothing to shake a stick at. That's a lot of folks that we're handling. In order for us to attract more people to the system, we know the next thing is the experience that they have, the service level, and that's all technology-based. So we do have an app. It's the transit app. If you don't have it on your phone, it's kind of cool to have it. You can see real time when your vehicle is arriving. You can look and schedule your trip, plan for it. You can go pay for it through another app. All of those things exist. Our job is to communicate that to the public. We've also put Wi-Fi on our fast routes. On Woodward, Gratiot, and Michigan, we recognize a lot of our users may have a phone, but their data plan is limited. So being able to offer Wi-Fi is the amenities. It's the clean shelters. We started a shelter program last year, and it has taken off. If you drive down any one of Chesterfield Township, 12 Mile, all around this region, you'll start seeing that SMART looks better out there on the road, and that's with intention. It's about amenities and service. And those locations, those shelters, we're putting in devices where you can also see and get information real time on digital devices that are solar powered. So that technical space that we're in, the technological space that we're in, I'm very excited about. The partnerships, now that we've hit the baseline, we're doing with what a lot of other transit agencies have been doing for a long time now. Now we can take it to the next level. I'm excited about the partnerships. We talked about regional partnerships, and this is the purpose for this panel today. And Mayor Stone, you brought up the draft. And I want to take a moment just to acknowledge just how much engagement that we had in that. SMART carried almost 30,000 people that weekend alone for that event. It was almost seamless. I think we had one complaint, and that person actually just didn't know where the bus stop was. So I don't truly count that. But in terms of people saying, what's next? What can we do next? How do we get bigger? If we coordinate, which we spent months of planning to get there, we can do it with the resources that we have now. The more we do that, the more we draw people to the system, the more ridership we get, the more funding we have. And what I'm leaning towards here is federal dollars can be competed for and brought here to build out those bus rapid transit systems, those things you see that look like light rail, operate like light rail, but give you everything that you need to have a world-class system. We're not too far off from that. We're on our way there, and I'm excited about it.
You probably got to wait till the next administration for that to happen.
Well, I'm going to tell you, not necessarily. Public transportation, because it is a nonpartisan issue, is seeing, at least if nothing else, we're seeing a steady allocation of resources that we are accustomed to right now coming out of the federal government, and that's rare, I know. And as of today, I can still say that we're getting funded.
You're knocking on wood.
You're knocking on all the wood, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, Maureen, your role and why I think the development of the organization at the outset was that you had multiple entities going out pursuing business. You know, you would have, you know, the 3 county execs going out. You would have those mayors that chose to going out on tours. You had in Detroit at least a DEGC. you had the MEDC, you had all these organizations going out, pursuing investment and job creation for their microcosm. And the thought was, with DRP, you were going to be agnostic to municipality and go out for the region of southeastern Michigan, lure or attract the folks in, and then figure out where they go. That sounds good. But the reality is that there has to be some jockeying amongst the local elected officials, because that's their job, to pursue those opportunities. So talk about how do you manage that? You've gone to Shanghai, you've got a company interested in coming to the region because we have the most PhDs, we have a phenomenal workforce, we have land available, we have cooperative government. So now they're coming to the region, but now you got to narrow to an address in the city. Talk about how you manage that.
Sure. You know, it is interesting. Our region, which is not a government formula region, it is a self-selected region of 348 cities, villages, and townships. And I always say that's a lot of children to love, right? Because that means we have 348 different definitions of what economic development is for those communities. So we have to understand that first. But when the Detroit Regional Partnership was formed, it was really, you know, the foundation was data, research. Let's provide the best information about our region. Let's combine our assets. So I say this, and it's always risky, with all due respect to our elected officials, who I think very highly of. County Executive Evans is on my board, so I want to be respectful of that. Economies are regional, supply chain is regional, and talent is regional. And so we collect that data and show, here's the talent you could get. It doesn't matter what side of 8 Mile Road it's on, or it doesn't matter what side of, you know, between Shiawassee County and Genesee, or Lapeer's next. That doesn't matter. It's where you can draw from that radius. So providing accurate, consistent data, that was the other thing that would happen. We would have all these partners who had great economic development teams, and I remember one time giving a presentation, and it was the MEDC and the Detroit Regional Chamber in Oakland County, and I was the third speaker on that, and I knew by the time it got to me, we would all have a different number of how many engineers we had in the region, and it was to a Taiwanese delegation, so I'm sure they were shaking their heads going, what are they all talking about? So having that consistent data, sharing the resources to provide that data is really important. By doing this together, we don't have to have 11 different you know, with the strong researchers and the databases, which aren't cheap. We share all that information with our partners. We help them win. So, you know, once again, we all can claim credit for the airport, which is phenomenal, right? Does you know, when people say, oh, that's not in Detroit, no, it's in our region. We share it. Those are the type of foundational sort of stories that we tell about what you can access when you come to the region. Now, every mayor loves to make announcements. We get that. We bring them in, and as do the county executives, as does the governor, our legislators, you know, we can fill the stage. We keep them informed and we keep them engaged when it's appropriate. But no one rarely has come and said, we need to locate in Lathrop Village. I just picked that one out, right? I mean, companies want to be in your region. They want to be near their customers, near their talent. So we entice them in by talking about, first of all, Detroit's our calling card, because as I used to tell Brooks Patterson, no one in the world uses counties except Ireland, and they think Oakland's in California. Right? So we didn't, you know, we have to say Detroit region. The other thing my team knows, where's Rebecca, our head of marketing, we don't use Southeast Michigan unless you can tell me what's in Southeast Idaho, right? That's not how people find us in the world. Mm-hmm. They know we're Detroit, we talk about the region, and that we're strategically located halfway between Chicago and Toronto. That's how the world finds us. Mm-hmm. So that's how we lead our storytelling to entice companies that have a business being here. Not every company should be in our area, right? I mean, we don't have the right talent, we don't have the right supply chain, whatever it is. So we're very strategic on who we talk to, and we tell them about the assets that we have in this region that are important to them. And then we let them decide. I will say a lot of decisions are made because of real estate. And sometimes people think, you know, I'm sitting at my desk saying, you're going to Warren because I sat next to the mayor today. I mean, that just doesn't happen. If the mayor of Warren happens to have a building that fits the needs of the criteria, you get on the list. So real estate drives a lot of these decisions that we don't control. The one thing we do control, and I'll get in a little pitch for this, this region, our entire 11 county region, has a 3.5% vacancy rate for industrial buildings. That means we have virtually no product on the market available. When companies want to make quick decisions, you know, I always said if I had 10, 100,000 square foot buildings, they'd be gone like that. So we had to come up with a solution to the fact that we don't have a lot of buildings to offer. And a lot of us, I think when I first met you, Dennis, we probably had about a 30% vacancy rate in this region, right? It was a whole different story. So we've worked on industrial property. Our program's called Verified Industrial Properties. It is probably now one of the best programs in the country to do independent assessment of engineering firms of vacant real estate. So we can tell a customer, we don't have a building for you, but here are some sites where you can build with certainty that it'll meet your timeline. So that has helped us in our communities with all our elected officials, helping them identify, do they have sites that will work? I guess the first question is, do you want economic development in your community? Not every community does, and we're very respectful of that. You know, so we ask them that first. Does this site work for you? And then we bring the companies there and let them make that decision. So we're not it's not like Oz where I'm sitting in the back under, you know, saying, here, you go here. I like this community, you're going here. It's not quite that easy.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you. Jason, I think we have time for 2 questions from the audience.
First one here is from Carl. He's going to stand up and let everybody admire the bow tie. What's your question?
Carl, it's a little cold for you to be up here right now. What's going on?
It is, a little bit. Good morning, everyone. My name is Carl Bentley. I'm the CEO of First Tee Greater Detroit. And my question centers around supporting youth in the metro area. What are your plans to get kids from their homes to recreation facilities, golf courses in particular, because that's my interest of sport. All right, thank you.
Well, I'm gonna, you know what Hiram said before he walked up here? He said, drop some news, Tiffany. And I was like, I don't have any new news, but apparently I do. What we are planning to do in the next couple of weeks is to roll out a program where students ride free on Smart. If you have a student ID, sorry team, it's out. And so if you have a student ID and you are able to get to a bus stop, you can ride our system. Again, I'm looking for ridership because ridership leverages us more dollars, and I want to make sure the kids have access to public transportation. Growing up and using public transportation, I know what kind of independence it allows for, but we also, the reason why we took as long as we have to get to this point is because we wanted to make sure we had a system that was reliable. As a parent myself, I don't want to put my child on a system that's not going to show up for them. So I know that now that we have moved in that direction and we're getting operational excellence back under our umbrella here, I am ready to move forward with that program, and we're excited to do so. And we're doing so in partnership with the City of Detroit as well. We've had some folks ask us, well, what if somebody has an expired ID? What if people are trying to game the system? And my answer to that is it's okay. If they have a student ID, they can get on the bus.
That's fabulous.
And I'll say we're doing the same thing. Oh. That must be contagious because we're doing the same thing.
Well, as a co-chair of transportation for Mayor Sheffield, it kind of came out of that too.
Right. So again, shared ideas, shared opportunities. We're doing the same with our DDOT system with our young folks as well. Students will be able to ride free. That's in this upcoming budget.
It's fantastic. Jason?
Yep, Jeanette has a question over here.
Hello, Jeanette Pierce, City Institute. Hi, guys. So much progress has been made in transit, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. And I guess my question is, what is in your plans or your budgets to get the story out about the improvements that have been made in transit, from the DAX bus to the airport? You can get there really fast to the A2D2, to having all 131 municipalities opted in, but then also all the other things that are happening great in the city and the region. How do we get that word out even more?
Great question, Jeanette. And I scanned the room. I'm looking for Bernard Parker. He's my chief marketing officer, and he's sitting next to Chris with Trust God. That is our external affairs, communications, and marketing team. We have a strategy of whisper, talk, shout right now. And as I said before, as we were getting our house in order, we were whispering a bit about the progress that's being made. What I want to see first is sustained improvement. Like I said, 3.5 weeks, we raised 12 points. I want to see what happens in the 3 months. We're working to get back to industry standard. And as those things start to happen, our ability to pop that collar a little bit more comes with it, right? And so we are on social media. We're talking about those improvements. We have a sustained audience that we're continually communicating with. And as we get through these next couple of months, as we're doing education for the ballot initiative, we want to make sure that those messages get out even louder and stronger.
Thanks, Tiffany. I want a couple of reminders before we have closing remarks. Again, on April 8th, we're going to welcome Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Hopefully you all can make it. Today's forum, obviously, as all of them, can be found on both WDIV sites and streaming, as well as the Michigan Chronicle. So share with your friends. And those who are viewing online, please remain online, because we'll have some after show interviews that will go on. You know, I typically like to close with some sort of call to action. We all get up early in the morning to come here 4 or 5 times a year. And those that choose to do so probably over-index related to being involved and willing to be evangelists on behalf of the community. So I would ask each of you, and we'll start with you, Tiffany, and go down, as you provide a closing comment, what can the people in this room, business leaders, entrepreneurs, civic leaders, elected officials, what can we do to help each of your efforts? Starting with you, Tiffany.
First things first, take a bus. Try the system. It seems simple enough, but I ride the system. I have had a missed trip. I have been passed by a bus. I have had the experience to understand my ridership, what upsets them, and what we need to do better. When you get on a bus, what people always say is after that first ride, wow, that was easy. You park your car somewhere on the route, hop on, park and ride, and get to your destination. You don't have to pay for parking. You hop off the bus. It's front door service. It's kind of like a limo, guys. I mean, I'm trying to, give it a shot. Try a bus. That's number one. And two, we really want to engage with these organizations. You know, we don't have big budgets to do a lot of promotion, but you have access to the people that need to know what it is we're doing. So when we have something on the horizon and we ask you to share that with folks, be on our podcast with us, talk about public transportation, challenge us, ask us tell us how to make it better, and ask us why certain things aren't as you would like them to be so that we can start working on them. We don't know the problems you haven't told us about, so let's talk about it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council President.
Thank you, and thank you for having me as well. You know, as a kid, as a kid in Detroit, you always wanted to be in one or two things. One, the native Detroiter back in the day.
Right, Sherman.
And as you grew up, pancakes and politics, and this is my first time. So I appreciate this opportunity. Yeah. So I would say invest. Detroit is open for business. We want you to come to the city of Detroit. We want you to provide your energy and your investment. We have a number of challenges, just like any other major city. But we have leadership, I believe, at this point, who is in the position where we are looking for partners, because some of the partners we had in the past either are not as willing or they don't have the resources at this moment. So continue to keep we will continue to keep that line of communication open, but also say ensure that we invest in our young folks as well. Expose them to the opportunities that are out here. Many of us, we're sitting in our nice suits and dresses and and ties. They don't get an opportunity, at least in the city of Detroit. Many of them don't get an opportunity to see that on a regular basis. So I would say take the time to go and spend some time with some of our young folks. And that doesn't mean just the city of Detroit. Even where you're located, if you're outside of the city, believe it or not, there are young people who don't get a chance to see folks like you on a regular basis. So I would say that is huge because it helps provide us an opportunity for our trajectory to continue to escalate, because that exposure and the opportunity and experience will help continue to transform our region.
Thank you. Mayor?
Yeah, so 2 messages I want to leave you with are smarter, not harder, and look at our assets in a new way. Smarter but not harder is we spend a lot of time competing at the expense of others. And one of that is, if you have this, we want that but bigger. We want that but prettier. We want that but newer. But what we find is, in times where pocketbooks are tight, home budgets are struggling, and every economic demand is felt in households across our community, region, and country, we're looking for how do we do it smarter? Where are those shared resources? Where are things that we can work together on that we don't have to do alone? And then looking at assets in a new way. So, Warren and Sterling Heights are part of a defense corridor, rooted in the Detroit Arsenal and TACOM, but it's 6.5 billion with a B in investment. And this looks like a big impact here in Metro Detroit, because we know that we leverage these by stacking them. Defense industry is TACOM, it is Selfridge, but it is regional investment in Metro Detroit. It is statewide investment in order to maintain those investment. And it's important because in a region that is rooted in automotive, we need to make sure that we are able to adapt and meet the moment for manufacturing, because not only are we world-class manufacturing, we're also innovation and prototyping, right? We find solutions and solve problems. And so looking at those assets and looking how do we take what we're investing locally and partner with our neighbors to make that go further and make people sit up and notice what is happening here that they didn't pay attention to before.
Thank you.
So we're working together.
Yes.
All right, Maureen, last word.
So on that theme, first of all, thank you for having me this morning. I love being here with the audience and my panelists who really address some foundational issues to do economic development well, right? Our youth heading into our talent pipeline, transit and how we move people around. Those are critical issues. So I just want to address a bigger issue that I feel really strongly about right now. So I've been doing this work in economic development for a long time, since I was a college intern at the University of Michigan.
Go Blue.
A long time. Go Blue. We're beating Howard. Darn it. Okay, anyway, we better. This region has spent a lot of energy competing and fighting with each other. That does not make us a global community at all. And it discourages our residents who think, oh, they're just fighting about this. We're never going to solve this problem. But it's really the image of how outsiders view us. And that's whether we're attracting talent or businesses, investment. If they see us always fighting with each other or not getting along, no one wants to deal with that. I have never seen this region in this moment right now that gets along so well. We know we have things to solve. Everyone does. It's like the duck, right? Under the water, you're always scrambling. But, last week, the Detroit Regional Partnership had our annual meeting. County Executive Evans, the other 2 county execs, and Mayor Sheffield were there talking about how regionalism has worked for us and how it needs to be our path forward. I am excited with this opportunity of actually getting along and working together. We will go much further as a city and as a region, combining our assets, telling our story together, and being like other first-class regions in the world behave. And that's by having one sort of mantra that you can be successful here. And so I'm just as excited as I've ever been in my career to be in a region that really desires to work together.
Thank you. Thank you to the panel. Again, thank you again, Jay and team, WDIV, the Chronicle Real Times Media team. We appreciate it. We look forward to having you for our next 3 panels in April, May, and June. And please enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.
All right, everybody, welcome into the Pancakes and Politics post-game show here on Local 4 Plus. I'm Jason Colthorpe, and our first guest to talk about what we kind of just saw, what we heard, is Nicole Sherrod-Freeman, who is the president and CEO, Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan.
Super. Thanks for having me.
It wasn't that long ago you were one of the panelists.
That's right. That's right.
Connected to Southeast Michigan. Or as I learned today, we don't say that. I learned that from Maureen in this, where unless you know what Southeast Idaho is, you shouldn't really classify it as Southeast Michigan. I thought that does make sense.
Yeah, it does.
When you're pitching to the world.
When you're pitching to the world, that's right.
What did you take from this? Because kind of regional transit, better ways for folks to get around Metro Detroit. Not a new topic.
Not a new topic. That's right. Yeah. So I actually found myself encouraged today because it's in the weeds, right? Like it's having, Tiffany Gunter talk about transit. It's hearing.
She had a lot of good news too.
She had a lot of good news. That's right.
It's to hear that the on-time ridership is up 12%. They're hitting that mark even better.
That's right. That's right. It's exciting to hear that she's tracking the numbers in the way that she is, right? Mm-hmm. To hear the mayor of Warren talk about, I hadn't thought much about the relationship between Warren and Centerline, but to hear her talk about, what's happening in her community. I mean, the entire panel, Council President James Tate, the entire panel, like hearing them talk about what's happening at ground level is encouraging.
It's always, we were just talking a moment ago when people think about, well, all right, we're going to talk regional transit. When are we taking the huge swing, building a rail from here to Ann Arbor to Chicago or whatever? It usually takes someone at some point to say, look, we cannot afford that. What we have to do is improve on what we have. Perhaps we added the Q line in recent years. There's talk of, can we expand the people mover? Because I think one of those themes is, and you can relate to this, is having that ability to get employees to the job that they want to work and having reliable transportation.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I think, let's be honest. We'd all love a go home on Friday night, turn out the lights, come back on Monday morning, flip the switch, and suddenly we have transit, right? Like, that's just not how the world works. Right. And quite frankly, I mean, think about how we all responded to the governor's call and action to fix the damn roads, right? Like, we want the roads fixed, and yet we complain at every point that we're driving by an orange cone again. So if you can imagine what it would take to actually build the kind of regional transit system that we're all envisioning in our minds, the kind of infrastructure disruption that would cause on top of what we already experience, my guess is many residents would find that untenable. But if we take small steps, build on the assets we have, make small improvements, they all ought to be toward this grand vision, but we have to be realistic about how we get there.
I guess is it too realistic to think that when Maureen also said that you look at Detroit, it just every other major city is in a better place when it comes to transit. Are we ever going to be able to approach those cities when it comes to those mass transit?
I believe we will.
Yeah.
I believe if we pick up momentum, if the ballot initiative passes in November, which is huge, and which we, quite frankly, have to do a much better job about educating the average voter on what it means, what the economic benefit will be to voters and their households and their communities and their neighborhoods. Like, we've got a long road to get to a yes on the ballot in November. But if we take those small steps, eventually it's like a flywheel, right? Like, we will pick up momentum. We can get close.
Yeah, and that's such a good point, too, to make sure, not just educate people on it, but make sure they know it's on there, get them excited to go to the polls, say, hey, this is very important if you want these transit opportunities and for the bus to be there on time to pick you up and make sure you're getting to your job. We have to make sure this ballot initiative passes.
That's right. And I'm going to say something controversial here. So
save it for a Flashpoint episode. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So we all make these sort of baseline assumptions that people know what improved transit will mean for their own households, for their communities. We make assumptions that, quite frankly, when you go out and talk to people, just don't hold. Folks don't know, right? Like, we've got to translate it into terms and economics and impact that the everyday resident understands, and that's not our strong suit.
It was mentioned in there, we know how tough times are, and people, it's very easy to get lost in your own life and worry about what's right in front of you rather than some of those bigger issues, and got to get educated.
That's right.
Nicole, thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'm glad you stopped by.
Always a pleasure. Great seeing you.
Yes. More Pancakes and Politics, the postgame show, coming up next here on Local 4 Plus. Thank you. All right, everybody, back here on Local 4 Plus for the Pancakes and Politics wrap-up. Joining me now is Bernard Parker, Chief Marketing Officer for SMART.
Yes,
Did I get that right?
Yes.
Well, it was good to hear the discussion today, including your boss talking about on-time ridership is up. Had no idea that it was lagging like that, but those kind of things are, when we talk about regional. And I think what we learn each time is, listen, we may have to take baby steps to make these things happen, because while the big swing is something that we dream of, we need to find, employers anyway, that are coming to Metro Detroit, need to find reliable ways to get people to work on and back home. Or class.
No, that's exactly it. One of the things we found out, particularly about Amazon when it came through a few years ago, was that they wanted some type of transit. And also what we do is as we continue to talk to our kids, particularly those that are graduating from college, they want transit. So if you go to D.C. or Boston or Chicago, Cincinnati, Cleveland, even as close as Toledo, they have transit, they have reliable. Poor folks is about everyone, and cars and transit can coexist.
Yeah. Well, Bernard, keep up the good work. It's smart, that's for sure.
Hey, can I just say, make one point?
Yeah.
You really do have awesome hair.
I thought it was going to be the most profound thing on regional transit you've ever heard. No, it's about extra hold hairspray is what he was getting at there.
All right.
And my team of three will be very happy to hear that.
Thank you.
Thanks again. There's no team of three, by the way. We're right back on Local 4 Plus. Stay with us with more hair tips. Welcome back to Local 4 Plus and the wrap-up of Pancakes and Politics as the new season gets underway there. Good discussion today about regional transit. Joining me to talk more about it, a member of the panel, Mayor Lori Stone, new mayor of Warren. Actually, not so new anymore.
About 2 years in and find my feet.
Yeah. How are you liking that job, by the way?
I enjoy it. I really appreciate serving my community immediately.
It's tough.
There's challenges.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've covered a lot of stories in Warren, so I know. Third largest city in Michigan. People forget that. In terms of transit, what was your big takeaway from the conversation today?
Well, I love being able to highlight that Macomb County, and Warren as part of it, has been a leader on regional transit. Countywide, understanding the importance of connecting residents with opportunity as well as businesses with resources and human resources.
You did touch on that, and it's kind of what I think of when I think of regional transit, because I've covered it enough to know we can't take the big swing anymore and dream of, subway, rail, or what other major cities have. But when I think of businesses that need reliable employees, Warren really factors into that because, as we say, so many of those employees are living in Warren.
Absolutely. And so often we take for granted that everyone has a car, but that is not true for everyone.
Nor do kids want to drive them anymore.
Absolutely. Generationally, our youth are not really taking to vehicles like past generations. But let's also talk about seniors. I don't think we mentioned that before.
No.
We have an aging population, and giving up a driver's license can feel isolating and limiting. But with like Transit Connect options, we connect people with disabilities and seniors who aren't driving or want someone else to give them a lift to, medical appointments, but shopping, luncheons, outings for the day.
Right.
And it's opportunity.
Is there I don't want to call it a secret weapon, but like that hidden gem of transportation that not enough people take advantage of or know about that you can think of?
I think the biggest challenge is people who have solely relied on vehicles, who might not be familiar with how public transit works or comfortable getting on a bus. Any opportunities that we have to open those doors. We mentioned the NFL draft, and we knew there was never going to be enough parking in Detroit to make that happen at the level it needed to. And so opening the doors to ridership and giving people a sample of how easy it can be to leave cars behind to get where you want to go.
I think that was, not nearly covered. I don't think hardly anyone knew of that. Real big win for the area for that. Mayor Stone, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your insight and congrats on the panel today. Well done.
Appreciate it.
More Flashpoint, more pancakes in politics. Flashpoint is Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Might as well throw in a plug while I get that wrong. Be right back. All right, back on Local 4 Plus to wrap up pancakes and politics here as the new season gets underway. And the topic today was regional transportation. Maureen Donahue-Krause is the president and CEO of the Detroit Regional Partnership. Who better to be on this panel than you to talk about this? What was your big takeaway? I really enjoyed a lot of your comments, by the way.
Thank you. My big takeaway is this had a different feel from years ago. I mean, I've been coming to this event for years, like I know you have. And that spirit of collaboration that I talked about at the end is super strong. We haven't seen that in a while. We know that why waste our energy fighting each other when we have a big world that we can compete against? I shouldn't say fight, that we can compete against, better by combining our assets.
And this may sound like it's a fight. Let me just read a tweet, but it kind of hits to the conversation. It's from yesterday, and it's from Matt Maddock, who's a Republican, and leave out kind of the politics he's shooting here. The leftists want an 80-mile-per-hour train from Ann Arbor to Traverse City. Cost would be $2 billion. Round-trip price would be $667 to pay for it in 20 years. $100 would be 1,000 years. Make it make sense. Is this what we always seem to run into? I mean, leave the left-right thing out of it, but it does always feel like it's the price tag that stops a lot of this.
So yes, and I think a couple of things. First of all, we have to stop thinking either or in this state and figure out a solution to both, because we can do two things at once.
Right.
I also think when you talk about, how much things would cost like transit, we spend a lot of money on our roads and infrastructure for cars. Others have figured it out. So maybe that's not the best line to have, Ann Arbor to Traverse City. I haven't looked at studies to tell.
That wasn't, it's
but
not
the
really...
point is, it's the future. And here's what I tell people. I remember when we thought about having cell towers. Because we thought, we don't want that in our neighborhood, not in our backyard. Now you get angry when your cell phone dies for 5 seconds. So I think we have to really approach, what does the future need to look like, and what is the best way for us to get there?
And you were talking about when you go around the world and you talk to different, you compare Detroit to other cities, their mass transit is just, you say we're the worst. Or how do we get where we can just approach that? Is it significant progress just to get better? Or like you say, we just keep taking little steps and we're going to get to where we need to be?
So little steps help because it exposes more people to the comfort. I thought the draft was great. I had more friends who took a bus or a train from a random mall parking lot to get to the draft. They loved it. It was so easy. It was so smooth. We didn't have to worry about parking. We knew where to go. That exposure, I think, and familiarity helps this generational shift we need to realize that we can have our cars. I love my car too. I have an electric vehicle. I love that too. But also transit is important for a region to be able to get people to jobs and other opportunities. When they talked about, when Tiffany talked about recreational opportunities for kids or things for kids to do, getting them on the buses is going to be a huge game changer.
Right.
As a parent who used to cart kids around, everywhere they needed to go.
I love my car too, but I visited my daughter who lives in New York, and I'm telling you what, I would be happy to get rid of it, to just take a train or take a bus or take whatever to a car on a reliable basis.
Right up Woodward. I live in Rochester Hills. I'd park in Pontiac and come right. I work at 1001 Woodward. Wouldn't that be awesome?
We can sit next to each other.
There you go.
Be pals. Maureen, thank you so much.
Great
Congrats
to be
on
here.
It was a great job on the panel, and I thought this was a very important discussion that we should never let go, even if we do get discouraged about what we want out of regional transit.
When you look at how far we've come, you have to get rid of the discouragement and think we've made some good progress here.
It's a good point to end on. That's going to finish our coverage here of Pancakes and Politics on Local 4 Plus. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next month.
Today on Live in the D, toxic people in your life can actually speed up your aging process.
We'll share some tips on how to manage these stressful relationships to protect your mental and your physical health.
Plus, the Circle of Life is coming back to Detroit. We are talking with cast members from The Lion King, including the actor who plays Mufasa and a hometown musician in the orchestra.
And how boxing can help you stay in shape, even if you're an older adult.
It's all coming up today on Live in the D at 11 a.m. right here on Local 4.
Well, as we're getting over the hump on this Wednesday, temperatures will be rising just a bit. Still cooler than average, and we can't rule out a few flakes flying, but we'll be in the upper 30s, which is improvement from yesterday. Mostly cloudy skies, and we do have an even bigger warm up by the end of the week. But before we get there, this is Michigan's Severe Weather Awareness Week. And so if you hear a few sirens going off this afternoon, we don't have severe weather on tap. This is all part of our statewide tornado drill for all the counties in Michigan. So it's a great time to practice your tornado safety plans.